and welcome to episode 2 of Christian's Political Talks. I am your host, Christian. Today, we have our first special guest. He was a firefighter for nearly 40 years and is running for the seat of Lindsay in federal parliament as the Labour Party's candidate, Mr. Trevor Ross. How are you today?
I'm good, mate, and thanks for inviting me.
No worries. So, tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, like you said earlier, I've been a firefighter for over 40 years. I've been in a few different areas of firefighting. I started off in the volunteer bushfire brigade, what it's called back then. Then I moved across to New South Wales Fire Brigades as what they call a retained firefighter, which is like on call. So I used to be at home and I'd have a bells and a pager in my house and it'd go off and I'd go to the calls. And then I became what they call a professional firefighter, and that was about 25 years ago. So during my time as a part-time firefighter, I had other jobs as well because that wasn't my primary employment. So I drove trucks, was a member of the TWU, worked on the council, did a few other jobs. I also have 4 children, 4 grandchildren, one son in the army, one who's just resigned from the army, one in the Navy, one in the fire brigade like me, and one who works in the corporate world in computers.
Very nice. So, Why did you become a firefighter in the first place?
Well, that's because it was in my family's blood. My grandfather, who was what I consider a very sensational person for the community, he started the bushfire brigade in Schofield in 1944. He was a founding member, him and my great-grandfather. And then my mum and dad got into the bushfire brigade, and when I was old enough to, hold a hose, I started going to fires with them at a really young age, probably 8 to 10 years of age. I didn't start counting going to fires until I was around 20 or something like that, but I've been doing it my whole life. So, like I said, I had other jobs on the way, but to get a professional career in the firefighting eventually was my goal, and that's what I achieved.
So what was it like you were the secretary of a union, right?
No, I was the senior vice president.
Vice president. Oh, even more superior. So what was that like?
Yeah, that was hard work. I started off on the state committee for the union, or even before that, I was the station delegate, and then I've become on the executive committee for the sub branch of Western Sydney, and then I got on the state committee, and then I became the senior vice president. And all the time, I kept working as a firefighter, so it's not a paid role. So that involved meetings around the state, dealing with members' issues, dealing with government, and dealing with senior officers of the fire brigade about getting better conditions for firefighters and trying to get more pay out of the Liberal government who would not give us a pay rise.
Definitely. Well, hopefully when we get Labor government in state as well next year, firefighters can definitely get a pay rise. That's for sure. So you joined the Labor Party 8 years ago, is that correct? Or about 8 years ago?
Correct. Yeah, it's about 8 years ago. I mean, my grandfather was a life member. I've always supported Labor, always followed Labor, but I just never signed up because I was busy doing a lot of stuff in my life. So I didn't actually become active straight away, but I've always followed it. I just didn't join.
So what made you finally join?
I think it was part of my union work. Just thought it was about time to get more involved in politics. And I think unions and Labor go hand in hand.
Definitely.
Sometimes people think unions are a dirty word, but here it is coming up to Easter, and all those people who don't like unions will be having public holidays over the Easter break for stuff that the unions fought for. Now, years ago, people didn't get the Easter break off. People would have had to work. Unions fought hard to get the working week down and get public holidays and a whole myriad of other things like long service leave and superannuation and sick leave and personal carers leave and all these types of things, which is very hypocritical of people today who say unions are no good because of they're all taking the benefits of what unions got over the years. So I'm a proud unionist. And I did my bit, I think, for firefighters by being on the state committee for 9 years.
Yes, unions are definitely an important part in life. I'm a member of a union myself, the United Services Union. Shout out to you guys. So, So why? So what made you decide to become the candidate for Lindsay?
Well, I hadn't really thought about it at all. And I got approached by some senior people of the Labor Party when I was still doing my senior vice president's role. Would I be interested in politics? And I said, well, yeah, of course I'm interested in politics, but I never thought I would run for a seat. And they go, well, we've looked at you and we think you're a really good fit. You're a good candidate. You've got a really good story. Have a think about it. So I thought about it long and hard. It wasn't something I just jumped at, and it wasn't something I just dismissed. So then I thought, they asked me again, a few months later, and I said, I finally agreed. So then I put my nomination in for pre-selection. No one else pre-selected for the seat of Lindsay at this time, so I got it.
And congratulations for that. I definitely
Yeah.
will be voting for you. So,
Thanks.
so what are your main policies that you will enforce if you get into Parliament?
I think that the main ones, and it's very broad, but it's there's aged care, which Anthony Albanese's come out and said he wants to spend a lot of money on it, and I totally agree with that, because we're an aging population. We need to look after our elderly. They've built this country, and I think we owe it to them to look after them, because they've looked after us for a long time. Of course, there's early childhood education, which I know is childcare, but they call it early childhood education, and the childcare for people and benefits of people who have got to pay a lot of childcare, because I think that there's astronomical amount they've got to pay for that. Of course, Labor's main policy or department that they developed way back when was Medicare. I think it's really important to look after Medicare. Again, you can't help it when you get sick, and it shouldn't depend on how much money you can have for the type of care you should get. We should all get good care. So they're the kind of main. Of course, cost of living's in there as well. We've just got to look at how much the price of petrol is, even though they put it down for the next couple of weeks. That's all about buying votes. Petrol's going to go back up again, and part of that is because we don't even produce petrol in Australia, because they've sold off that, just like we've sold off just about everything else we had.
So yes, on the conversation of privatisation and aged care and childcare, do you think Labor will introduce more public government-run aged care and childcare?
I'm not sure whether they'll introduce more. I do hope they will. I think the main thing is they have a good mandate and on the standards of childcare and particularly aged care. You hear some horror stories where people are getting injured in aged care and all that sort of stuff. So I hope they lift the standards and people accountable for the standards in those areas. I would, like I said before, I would like them to be more public, but I think the main thing is to make them safe is the important part.
So Labor will definitely make sure that private childcare and aged care definitely have a more safer environment, will look after it more, look over it more than the Liberal Party would.
I'm sure they will, yeah.
So why do you think the seat of Lindsay should vote for you and not any other candidate?
Well, traditionally, Labor Party is looking after the workers. Western Sydney, it's no secret, is where the working class is. I think that because we have so much working class in Sydney, in Penrith, that they should be voting for Labor. It's a lay down misere as far as I'm concerned. The Liberals are known for looking after the top end of town, and we're not the top end of town. We're workers. I think we should look after them.
For sure. And so are you out campaigning at the moment?
Yeah, I've been out campaigning. I've got a couple of volunteers out there that help me during the day, hand out a few leaflets and things like that. Also, been putting call flues out, been to different types of meetings with different parts of the community. And meeting with councillors, other MPs, and building a strategy around how we can try and get Lindsay back to Labor. Yeah.
So if any of the listeners are interested in volunteering for you, where would they go to fill out a form to volunteer for you?
Yeah, they can go to our Facebook page. It's Trevor Ross for Lindsay. There's a link on there, or you can send a message through there as well. And I'll have my campaign manager contact you. And we're always sorry, we're always looking for volunteers. The workload's huge. Unlike some other parties, unfortunately, we can't afford to pay for people, but I don't think we should have to. People should do this for what they think's right. I don't think you should have to get paid to give your political persuasion like I find some of the other parties do.
Well, yes, definitely. And as your street stall and train station coordinator, as I did mention in the previous episode, so I definitely will give you free plugins every now and then.
Yeah.
So is there anything you'd like to say to the other candidates for the seat of Lindsay that might be listening?
I guess first off, congratulations for putting your hand up to try and run for public office. It's a big responsibility. And I guess at the end of the day, we'll have the same goals, is to try and look after the people. But I do find that some of the other parties get a bit mixed up in what looking after the people means. The people that I value and I think need looking after is the average person in the street, the average worker. It's not the high end of town. They're doing fine. And I like to think that we can look after those people through things like I mentioned, Medicare, childcare, aged care, because we care.
That's definitely true. So have any other Labor politicians helped you out in campaigning?
Yeah, I've had a senator, Tony Sheldon. He's been really helpful. I've been out on sites with Ed Husick. We had a meeting the other week with Ed. He's nice. I've had Chris Bowen come out to my campaign launch. I've spoken with Susan Templeton, also Michelle Rawlings. And then the next level down is the state, and Prue Carr's been very helpful in the campaign. Got a lot of ideas. And then down again is the councillors of Penrith, the Labor councillors. They've been really helpful as well.
Yes, I have seen some of them out there helping you. It's very nice to see other Labor members out supporting you, especially you're new to this because you aren't a career politician. You're just a average bloke like us going out there to try and sort politics out.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of Anthony Albanese? Do you like him? Like, do you think he's a down-to-earth bloke?
Like most of us, I've never met Anthony Albanese until the end of last year. I was never really a big fan of his. I thought he was okay. And I met him face to face, and straight away I changed my opinion of him. He's a really genuine person. He's really smart. He's really switched on. People say that he's not a leader. Well, I don't know who is a leader until they become a leader. You see that quite often that, like when Paul Keating got in, they probably thought, no, he's a treasurer. He's not a leader. End up being and the same thing could go for Kevin Rudd or Julia Gillard. Once they're in a position, they become a leader. It grows with them. And I'm sure if Anthony gets elected, the leadership role will grow with him and he'll make a great Prime Minister.
Yes, well, anyone can literally do a better job than Scott Morrison at this moment, really. The polls have said that. Well, actually, one quick question that's actually recently been on the news today. So the video that went viral on TikTok of a 20-year-old young Labor having a go at Scott Morrison at a Penrith club. So what are your views on that?
I can understand his frustration. I don't think his execution was real well. I don't think he should have yelled and screamed and carried on like that. I don't like that because I know I wouldn't like it if it was happened to people in my party. I do see his passion. I just hope he can direct it in a bit more, I was going to say civilized, it wasn't uncivilized. Just hope he be a bit nicer and but doesn't be scared away from politics because they might have roused on him. Just maybe control the way he deals with it next time.
Yeah, for sure. So, is there anything else you would like to say to the listeners today? Any?
Come May 21st. I would like you to vote for me for the Labor Party, but also have a really good think about your vote. It's really important that you have a think and do some really research and just don't look at Facebook or what someone down the street's told you. Ask around, find out for sure what's going on, and make an educated vote. It's our country, and I'm on the older side of the society, but the younger people, whatever you vote for on the 21st of May, you're going to have to live with for 3 years or maybe longer. So have a good think about it, and take it serious.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thanks for being on the podcast, Trevor.
Not a problem, mate. And if I do get elected, you can always ring me again and we can do another one of these.
It's only a bit of a short podcast today because I'm still new to this. It's only episode 2. So hopefully the better I get, the more questions I can come up with and the longer I can sustain a conversation.
Not a problem.
All right. So, so that has been Trevor Ross, who is the Labor candidate for the federal seat of Lindsay. So if you would like to follow him on Facebook, it is Trevor Ross Labor for Lindsay, or on Instagram, same thing, Trevor Ross Labor for Lindsay. So this has been episode 2 of Christians Political Talks. If you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Facebook at Christians Political Talks, and same on Instagram, Christians Political Talks. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Bye.